Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at both sides of the conversation. Welcome to our Educational Thursday. Again, thank you for joining us. We gather in this virtual space here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am Colise on behalf of John Henry, the host for tonight. He is our founder and executive director, also known as the Bishop. We also have our co-host, Mark Scott. Say something to the people, Mark.
Hello, everybody. Mark Scott here from Houston, Texas. Glad to be part of the Both Sides of the Conversation family as one of the new co-hosts in place of the Bishop. Glad to be here. Excited to hear our guest speak this evening.
Absolutely. So both sides of the conversation will be out in the community this weekend. Yes, you heard it right. We'll be out in the community embracing our people at the Juneteenth festivities this Saturday and Sunday. The weather should be decent in the mid 60s, and we plan on bringing lots of joy, sunshine, and communion. Today, we are joined by an extremely knowledgeable presenter that will be educating us on today. So now we will be getting into our news and events. And so very excited. Go ahead, Mark, and go into the news.
All right. I'm going to be reading the news, so y'all bear with me. First headline, community groups protest $81 million mental health expansion at Santa Rita Jail. It says about 75 members of the Care First Community Coalition rallied outside the Alameda County Administration Building on Tuesday morning to demand that the Alameda County supervisors halt the expansion of the project and invest $171 million in continuum of care that prevents criminalization and jail deaths. Next, we have San Francisco International Airport experienced a power outage for about an hour or so Tuesday evening. Officials took to social media just before 9 p.m. to say that terminals were without power and that electricians were working on the situation. Officials had no information on what caused the outage and did not have the estimated time of restoration while electricians worked. In another headline, a 16-year-old boy was killed and a 17-year-old boy was injured at a double shooting at a San Leandro apartment complex. Both boys were taken to the hospital where the 16-year-old died. The 17-year-old is recovering, Assistant Police Chief Torres said. Prayers go out to the family. In other news, two plans to disrupt San Francisco downtown's doom loop and reviving Chinatown's heyday. The San Francisco Standard cites conversion as one of the many obstacles facing two of the most talked about ways to fill empty buildings downtown. Lab space, an idea Mayor London Breed is pitching, and housing, the subject of litigation approved yesterday by the Board of Supervisors. Also in the news, San Francisco corruption, how $20,000 bought young engineer a city job. The Standard learned the identity of Zulu Lee, who corrupt former San Francisco official Mohammed Nuru hired after he was allegedly bribed by ex-parole agent Ken Hong Wong with $20,000. As news like this continues to emerge in the city's corruption scandal, Mayor London Breed's move to gut the San Francisco Ethics Commission is drawing fire from supervisors. And finally, last headline, Black Panther's Letitia Wright's new release, Surrounded. On Wednesday, a media briefing and VIP reception for San Francisco Black Film Festival 25 was held at Erica Scott's Honey Art Studio. And Surrounded is among films to be screened June 15th through the 18th. And I'll pass it back to you, Khalees, now for the events.
All right, Mark. Wow. So unfortunate to hear about those young children being
Is
shot
sad.
in San Leandro. It's just unfortunate. Prayers to the family. It's just awful. On to the events. San Francisco residents, do you have a misdemeanor or felony that needs clearing? Go ahead and get your record worked on. Email the link below. APRI information sessions, clean slate, jobs, housing support, financial literacy, June 29th at 1301 Evans Avenue. Learning Center, back door. The Bayview Opera House is having an event, Flying to Freedom, celebrating Juneteenth through aerial dance, theater, and music. June 16th, which is tomorrow, and June 17th, 8 p.m. Tickets and info at the website below. Canvas with the DAP and EBPREC, and that means the East Bay Permanent Real Estate Cooperative. June 16th, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Meet at the 9400 International Boulevard, Unit C in Oakland. RSVP at that link below. Mayor London Breed's second annual City Hall kickoff celebration. This is on June 16th at noon. Northlight Court, 1 Dr. Carlton B. Goodlett Place. You got it in San Francisco. Mario B. Hair and Fashion Show. Vendor space is all taken up. I can only imagine because we're already at the event. They're going to have designers, salons, makeup artists, barbers, shops, clothing lines, all kinds of stuff will be out at this event. June 17th, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Fillmore Street. There will also be live performances. June 17th, Mary, 1 p.m. The Mary Jane Girls, 3 p.m. Hair and Fashion Show, 4 p.m. Sharonda G. and Marsha Ambrosius, 5:15 p.m. You got it, Fillmore and Eddy Street. The Bayview Festival, celebration of fathers, Black culture, and amusement park rides. Yes, Melanie Fiona, Rough Ends, Stunnerman, Shekinah Ministry Gospel. This is all happening on Sunday, which is Father's Day, in June 18th, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Gilman Park. The intro to the East Bay Permanent Real Estate Cooperative has a new member orientation. Light food and drinks, but parking is limited, so you need to arrive early. This is on June 20th at 6 p.m. in Oakland at the 9400 International Boulevard, Suite C. Balloon Sisters Grand Opening is on June 24th at 12 p.m. at 1624 Oakdale Avenue in San Francisco. The third annual crowning ceremony, King/Queen, I Know Who I Am. Save the dates, June 24th, July 5th, and July 19th. This is a 3-series workshop on self-transformation and crowning ceremony. Here to Stay is hosting an in-person cafe for Oakland small business owners. This is on June 28th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Cypress Mandela Training Center, 977 66th Avenue. City Kids CreatorCon, save the date. It's a free event for creative outlets, art, music, and fashion. July 14th, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the 200 block of Jones Street, and more information will be coming soon. Bayview National Night Out 2023, August 1st, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Bayview Opera House, 4705 3rd Street at the Joseph Lee Recreational Center. Magic Backpack Giveaways, Mo Magic, August 5th at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Ella Hill Hutch, 1050 McAllister Street in San Francisco. Magic Back Giveaways, Be Magic, August 12th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Now Hunters Point, 155 Jennings Street in San Francisco. SFHRC has regular bi-monthly commission meetings on the second and fourth Thursday at 5 p.m. at the San Francisco City Hall, room 416. Zoom information is below. African American Reparations Advisory Committee has their monthly meetings virtually at 5:30 p.m. every second Monday. Occur has a free tech program in East Oakland, June 13th to July 20th, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 6948 Foothill Boulevard. Drop-ins are welcome. Promote your business, nonprofit, or community impact on our Hidden Gems show. That's on Tuesdays. But you can also share your expertise on Educational Thursdays, which we'll be doing tonight. Be a panelist on Sunday Conversations. It's more popcorn style and it gets deep. Register for any of our shows. Join our show at the link below. Keep up with both sides of the conversation. Our latest shows, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also subscribe to our newsletter below. And don't forget to ring that bell on YouTube. It will alert you when our shows are about to go live. Both sides of the conversation is in search of volunteers. Give back to the community. You can email at hrbsotc.org. Go to all of our social media sites for more news on how to give back to your community and support BSOTC. Now, this Sunday is our conversation, but we're not having one. You know why? Because we'll be out in the community. There will be no Sunday conversation. It's Father's Day. Enjoy the fathers. We salute the fathers, the kings. Yes, if it wasn't those two, the kings. Yes, it's to the kings.
Thank you.
Hidden Gems is Tuesday, June 20th at 7 p.m. But I tell you, nice events. We're going to have a great weekend. We'll be out in the community one more time. It's Juneteenth. We have something to celebrate this weekend. So we'll be out there both days. So touch bases with us. But we're not going to delay you any further. I'll tell you about this brother here. Patrick Young, he serves as a director for the mayor's office of gun violence prevention in New Orleans, Louisiana. The Office of Gun Violence Prevention is the backbone of the city's effort to work with New Orleanians to create peace and prevent gun violence. And I tell you, he's been on our show before. So you all just get ready to have a warm welcome, and make sure you get on YouTube, you comment, you ask questions, interact with us, because he will answer your questions. We'll go ahead and welcome Patrick Young to our podcast. Hey, Patrick.
Okay, who that? Who that? You know how we started off.
Go and represent, Brother Patrick, man. It's
Oh,
wonderful
yeah.
to have you on with us this evening.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited to be here again. As always, great platform, great opportunity.
Absolutely. So tell us about, we'll go ahead and hand this over to you, because we know that you're going to drive this thing all the way out. Go ahead and remove ourselves and give you the screen.
It's your show, Brother Patrick.
Okay. All right. So I want to just thank everybody first for coming out tonight. I think the conversation that we have tonight is really a timely one, when a lot of people are thinking about financial matters, matters of what the future holds and what you're going to do next. One thing we need to discuss for myself personally is, how do we move the needle, and how do we feel like we can make an impact, an advancement in this society when it feels like everything is against you. So I wrote this book called The Way Up, Economic Development Post Incarceration. And if you know anyone that's been locked up or been involved in the justice system, whether you've done it personally or have family members, I think we've all been impacted some way, shape, or form by the criminal justice system here in America. But what we haven't paired the two is the financial system that's set up in this country, in partnership with the criminal justice system. And so my book deals with those matters, and I hope we can have a good conversation about economic development and what that means for people with convictions. So I don't know, can we start the PowerPoint? Yep. So A Way Up. And the reason why I call it Way Up, just ideally I parallel prisons and poverty, and show that most people are in prison because of poverty. And when you're inside or you're in prison, the whole time you're in there, one of the things you're constantly telling people is, when I get out, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. I just need to get out. And what you need to find out is a way up, not just a way out. And the way out is through economics. If there is a prison enterprise and a prison system that's built on financial means and financial gains, then you have to understand that same financial means and that financial gain to get out of that system. Can we go to the next slide, please, though? If anybody knows me, I love quotes. Like, I read all the time. And during this, there was a certain period in history where they had two famous black men, W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. W.B. Du Bois had this book called Souls of Black Folk, and Booker T. Washington had this book, Up From Slavery. And they both had different approaches on, post-slavery. How do you begin to rebuild, and how do you, develop this system of success after you've had this system of oppression against you? And I'm kind of a Booker T. Washington fan, and he had this book, Up From Slavery, and this quote is taken from it. He said, "I've begun everything with the idea that I could succeed, and I've never had much patience with the multitude of people who are all ready to explain why one cannot succeed." Before we even get into the book, or we get into any type of thought around the curriculum, I just want to just pause and just reset the mind of anybody that's dealing with any challenge. Before you start to execute a move or begin a race, you have to begin with the end in mind, and you have to have that thought. And I believe it is so powerful that you can win and you will succeed. And so if you're listening to me right now, I just want you to just say that with me. Like, I will win, I will succeed. Say it one more time. I will win, I will succeed. And as you tell that to yourself, just remind yourself every day the will to win cannot be beat. And no matter where you are, and that's what Booker T. Washington was saying, is that we start where we are. So you don't just leave slavery and go to the White House immediately, right? You move up in those stages and phases of life. And so as you're moving up from whatever condition, whatever situation you're in, just keep saying it. I will succeed. I will win. Next slide, please. All right. So the overview, high thought around it is there a way? A lot of people, when you think about convictions and trying to restart your life after a conviction, and you see, you might have one person you'll see on TV, or you see someone who was locked up and they're doing super well, and you're like, oh man, I'm not a rapper, I'm not an entertainer, I don't have this skill. Is there a way for just someone who is just an average person who may not have all those special talents, but can I really improve my life after incarceration? The best practice of what really got me inspired to write this book was looking at what's working. What's working right now is there's a call, Office of Transition Economic Development. If you're in the military and you're discharged from the military, before you release, you have to take a course called Transition and Economic Development. Not only are you transitioning back to being a civilian, but you're transitioning in understanding economic development. It is a mandatory course, again, no matter which branch of government you're a part of. Even if you're in the National Guard, you have to take this class on economic development. The outcomes of investing in economic development for people in the military, the results show that veterans are the #1 home buyer group. Veterans are also one of the largest groups of small business ownership. Why? Because with the information and financial literacy specifically designed for veterans, and also the direct access to capital, they're able to use those resources to then create wealth for them and their families. Man, that's an amazing concept. And then when you think they're almost allotted close to $10 billion for 7 million veterans in the United States. 7 million veterans, $10 billion. That's a lot of money. And you may say, hey, these guys are fighting for our country. They deserve it, which they do. But we also can recognize that two things can exist at the same time. There are over 80 million people living in America with a conviction. And so if 80 million people are living with a conviction and they're barred from having that same type of access to certain capital and resources, it's typically called collateral consequences. There's a guy in the Bay Area, there's a guy in California who goes around the country. The program is called Time Done. They speak all over about collateral consequences and the things that are impacted upon you post-conviction. One of the things specifically, though, what I look at is that when we think about finding that way out, we have to align ourselves, one, with understanding financial literacy specifically with people with convictions. And then secondly, how do we use the information to make sure that we're moving up in society? There's a conversation around post-traumatic, post-conviction poverty, meaning that if most people go to prison because of poverty, when they go into prison, when they get out, there's this post-conviction poverty because you don't have access to employment, access to housing, access to certain transportation, access to educational resources. So it puts you in a lower bracket, even below the poverty line, in which puts you there to begin with. So you're constantly fighting to dig up out this mud just to get back to the poverty situation that puts you in prison to begin with. If we cannot find the ladder of success that can move us and excel us to a higher plateau, we're just going to keep seeing this revolving door. I know in Louisiana, we have one of the highest recidivism rates in the country. But if you look at our economic status, we also have one of the poorest economic conditions. So when you have a poor economic condition and you don't have great economic opportunities, if there's inequality around economic development, then all you're doing is living in a survival state. And so many people are scraping by any means trying to survive. And so for me, I look at people I know with convictions, myself included, trying to get a bank account started, trying to find a credit card, trying to understand what all those things mean and how to get your own apartment, get your own car, have access to credit. It can be a lot. And not understanding that policies and those differences, it forces you to make pressure-built choices. And so it's like, hey, let me talk to my girl and put this in your name, or let me get this business mom, put this business in your name. And it's all good until Mad Day come. And then when Mad Day come, it could be a whole nother set of problems. What this instruction is, hopefully, this book and my workbook will be a curriculum that's designed, that's mandatory. Before you release from any institution, you understand this financial literacy, this transition and economic development, specifically for people with convictions. So you're not setting people up for the setup, you're setting people up for success. There's so much that I'm so passionate about it because I see it on the daily. And if you've ever been incarcerated, one of the things that we talk about, I know in the South, we call it running EPs. And so when you run in the EP, you're telling like this story around, when I get out, I'm going to get this business. I'm going to open a barbershop. I'm going to take some of this money. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it sounds good in the institutional setting. But when you release, you find out that that system that you thought was available to you, it doesn't exist. So it's like looking at two different worlds, your world and the matrix. Your world is what you think exists, and the matrix is what really exists. And so some people are blinded by the illusions. People see people on social media or see people in pictures and in television and assume that it's real life. And a lot of times when you pull back the curtain and really see what's going on, a lot of it isn't real. And we have to separate those dreams and realities and put into actual practice and policies and procedures. And that's what I did with the book. I just found a way that we can use a best practice, the military's guide, and put it in a way that is custom specifically for people with convictions. So if there is a way, well, one of the things they like to say here is the game is free, but the hustle is sold separately. And so people always will say, hey, I'm gonna put you on game. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna look out for you. And they tell you, man, you need to flip houses and you need to get in this real estate market, or man, you need to get into this Bitcoin and you need to get in it. And they tell you all of this information, but it's important to teach people how. How do you really make great strides after incarceration to where you don't return back? And I'm hopeful that that's what this book is specifically designed for. It's designed as a read, but also in addition and as a workbook and a curriculum to really show you that there is a way. Where there's a will, there's always a way. Next slide, please. So I like to, when people talk about math, I always, math has two sets of problems, equations and expressions. Equations can be solved. So when you think 2 + 2 = 4, that's an equation because we can solve that easily. An expression tends to have variables. So like you're looking at this problem right now, dy over dx equals y - 1. And you'll be like, I don't understand none of this, right? And so the answer isn't for you to solve, it's for you to simplify. Many times when we look at our problems, sometimes we just want an immediate solve. If I'm coming out of prison and I'm dealing with certain situations. If I get a job, that'll be the solve. If I just get an apartment, that'll be the solve. And what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a unfair disadvantage because you're trying to create a solve for a problem that really, in essence, is an expression that should be simplified. Crime isn't something that's going to be solved, but it can be simplified. Same with violence. Violence is not going to be a solve, right? Because when we're dealing with hearts and emotions and feelings, people react. Everybody has a button, and you press that button, you never know. But what we can do is put barriers in place and teachers in place that we can simplify the amount of violence that we see. Racism, people have likes and dislikes since the beginning of time. Again, we can't solve it. We can simplify it. Same thing with incarceration. There will never be a solve where people say, hey, we're just going to just stop putting people in prison altogether, stop locking anybody up. But under the conditions in which we can simplify it, and again, recidivism, how can we simplify it? So solving the why is going to be so important, because the way we look at our problems and the way we look at our situations is only one or two ways. Is there a solve, or is it an equation or an expression? And the expression, when we look at some major difficulties, it's not for you to solve, but how can we begin to simplify? How can I use my paycheck to begin, knocking down debt? How can I use my paycheck to start saving, to build this, build that? Like overnight, I may not be Bill Gates in a snap of my finger. I may not have Jay-Z money tomorrow, but if I simplify and look at my spending, if I track my investments, if I really get smart about money matters, I can build a better path for myself, my family, and create generational wealth. And I'm hoping that we find this idea of what is that way up and not just a way out. Again, next slide. So let's look at the facts. Let's look at what we know. There's a line that we all can agree on. Karl Marx would describe that line as the people above the line is the people that have, and the people that below the line are the people that don't have. So it's the have and have nots. How many people live below the poverty line, the have not line, the people who have less, the people who are doing without? And so the effects of one, pandemic side effects, the number of jobs that were lost, the loss of businesses, people who lost their savings, lost their homes, loss of family due to desperate measures or incarceration or even debt. And a lot of people who even died because of COVID. Loss of access, lack of access to education. We saw a decline in school education because of the pandemic. Kids and youth and even adults who were taking online classes found it difficult to really re-engage in this new system of learning through video. The health decline that we saw, the increase in anxiety, depression, desperation, the increase in substance abuse. And the one thing I don't have on this slide here is the increase in the number of domestic violence. Domestic violence went up 200% during the pandemic. So when people are dealing with all of these issues on top of some of those money matters, and you look across, in a personal sense, look at your situation and look at 5 friends that you know. Look at the people who are above the line, but how many people you see below the line. And so that's what you start off is when you're thinking about your own personal status, you draw this line and you figure out where you are, but you also draw where you want to be. And so directional wise, if I have, if I like, I'm in New Orleans right now. If I wanted to go visit the studio in California and I put it in my GPS, Google is going to give me a path. It's going to give me a direction, whether I want to drive, walk, ride a bike, catch a plane. It's going to let me know the time, the distance, and the route in which I need to move from here to there. And sometimes that's the most challenging part, is one, identifying where you are, but secondly, exactly where do you want to go and where you want to be. If I'm just saying, I'm tired of New Orleans, I'm tired of this place, I'm tired of this, well, where you want to go? If I don't correctly put in a destination, then I'll just stay in my space. In order for you to arrive, you have to depart, meaning you have to leave where you are and really clearly identify exactly where you want to go. How many people that are formerly incarcerated, people with convictions, when they're released, go back to where they started from? And how many people actually stay in that same environment that put them in the prison system to begin with? The people who are successful after incarceration have left the area in which confined them to begin with. So if someone was incarcerated in New Orleans, if someone is doing well, typically they've moved out of that area. Expansion and growth is powerful, and you have to be able to expand beyond the place. And so understanding how to expand is first being honest and really just having that self-talk about where I am. It's not my finale. This is just the start. But where do I want to finish, or where I don't want to go? And so drawing that line begins you to identify exactly where you are, but where you want to go. I believe that there's only two levels in life, here and there. And the whole time we're here, we're thinking, what do I have to do to get there? And that line in between, that's you finding your way up. Next slide, please. All right. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. So more than now ever, everybody has a hustle. Everybody has a side job. You got so many people who are driving Ubers, who are door dashing, who are Instacart shopping. Everybody has a business, a side hustle, something, because it doesn't seem, no matter how hard you work, there's never enough money, or there's not enough time in a day to really execute the things that you want to do. And so what it does is it put people in a pressure situation. Like, I gotta move. Like, something has to get done. That's a good attribute to have, to be somebody that's a get up and go get it. But sometimes for people who are in pressure situations, it can cause a lot of conflict. If you release from incarceration and you have to pay parole fees, you have housing fees, you have transportation needs, and everywhere you go, because of the collateral consequence of the conviction, you're getting denied the job, you're getting denied access to education, you get denied access to transportation, you don't have access to certain capital. At some point, all those no's are really going to impact your thinking about, well, I just got to do what I got to do. Because if there is no path to restoration, if there's no way for you to really reform and get your life back on track, then why be good? And so it's important that systems are set up in a way where people can re-enter, and there's a trajectory where you can see, well, hey, if I do 1, 2, and 3, I'll be able to accomplish A, B, C. But if you have no path for progress after incarceration, then why would somebody want to make a change? Again, when you're in that system, a state of desperation, it calls for desperate measures. But what I want to show is that desperate measures of being in a precious situation, someone who's playing basketball and they're down 7 points in the fourth quarter, there's 2 minutes left, right? That's where your focus should really show up. That's when your intensity, when you block out the noise, when you block out the distractions, and you really just lock in that Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality, and you just execute. And so I believe that we all have that ability to execute, above some of those challenges and obstacles but it has to come with a strategic focus and a strategic plan. We have to think critically. We have to be able to be aware of the circumstances, and we have to just focus on how do we move again from here to there. Next slide. I like to call this the category 6. It's something I talk about in my book. Again, my book was written during the pandemic in 2020. And going back to what I was just speaking about, so I'm from New Orleans, and we deal with a lot of like hurricanes. I mean, the weather pattern that you see coming, like it's hurricane season now, and you see the storms that come off the Western African Atlantic coast. It comes through and it hits our Gulf. Because of the heat, it swells up, and when those weather patterns hit, it's this perfect formation around. It's just the perfect storm that's created from these transitions in weathers. It's called forecasting. If you follow the storm from where it originates all the way through, you can almost predict what's going to happen. In those systems of desperation, in all those systems of people being denied, if you look at the lack of opportunity, we look at the effects of the pandemic, it's creating this perfect storm that we're seeing that's spreading across the country right now. There's been an increase in more extreme violence since COVID. We've seen the loss of officers. We've safety systems breaking down. We're seeing a high rise in suicides. Again, like I spoke earlier, domestic violence, like it's this storm around extreme violence. But again, all of this is tied to, again, the economic system. And as the country does poorly economically, it increases violently. If you go back to the late 90s, it seemed like everybody, well, I'm a little older, but if you look at when, the economy was at a surplus, everybody felt like it was good. It was good times. You had happy music. You had dance songs. You had just regular, just feel good attitudes towards life because it seems like everything wasn't a struggle. Today, oh my God, it's like surviving The Walking Dead. Like it's one of those crucial moments where everybody seems like they're in a rush to get it. I'm on my bag. I'm in my grind. I'm out here trying to get it, and it just feels like there's this hustle mentality that's taken over because again, those pressure points have created this perfect storm of if I'm not on my grind, there's a potential for me to really be at a loss. And so I want to take some of the anxiety of this need of having to survive in this chaotic moment and really, again, how do we get focused? How do we really learn? Because everybody's not living that same system of panic. Some people are really cool, calm, collective, counting their coins, taking trips, traveling, drinking pina coladas, going to see the Mediterranean. You're like, man, what are they doing? Right? They found a way to lock in, to understand money management systems and how really that they found the way up. They found a way up out of, again, that system of poverty, that system of oppressiveness, and it's liberating. And all of us are fighting to find our way out of liberation. And I believe that liberation isn't just removing yourself from incarceration. Liberation is moving yourself into a state of financial freedom where there is no economic debt. There is no system of oppression around finances, but you're able to live freely, move freely, execute and live your best life. Next slide, please. So there's no progress where there is no access. Black families experience higher rates of poverty. We know this, upward mobility and more downward mobility. People released from prisons and jails in Louisiana face far more obstacles in finding a job. Here's one of the craziest facts that you'll find is that Louisiana has 389 restrictions on employment for felons. national average is 123. When I say restrictions from employment, you can't get a barber's license. You can't work in healthcare. If there's a hurricane here and a city is impacted, is flooded, as an inmate, they'll take you out of the jail and work for FEMA to help doing rebuild and restoration after the flood. But if you are released, you can't get a job with FEMA because you have a conviction. I think California has something similar with the firefighters, where if you're incarcerated, you can fight a fire as an inmate. But when you're released and you try to go get a firefighter job, they would deny you. I think within the last 2 to 3 years, they changed that law. But those restrictions are heavy, heavy, heavy here in Louisiana. And so if you're trying to just have an honest living, again, even if you go to college, you have over 389 restrictions just for employment for convicted felons in Louisiana. It's crazy. People with convictions have the lowest rate of any group in both home ownership, business ownership. In fact, someone who is formerly incarcerated is 10 times as likely to be homeless. Again, where is there progress if you have no access? If everywhere you go, you're just denied. It's a dangerous situation, and it's only going to get worse unless we understand the learning of how to free ourselves. And when I say it's so important, because when you have people who when you're incarcerated, the people who begin to make the most change are guys who get in the law library. There was no interest, because ignorance to the law is not an excuse. And you start to see people who begin to learn law, file writs, file habeas corpus, study different cases, federal, state, and they begin to liberate themselves by learning the system in which incarcerated them is the same system they have to learn to free them. So again, if economically there's a system that's oppressing you, you have to learn that same economic system to free you and get access and to find that, yes, you can be successful. Yes, you can make money, but you got to understand the language of the system and how it operates so you can take it apart and use it for your advantage. This book is really, in my opinion, a game changer for years to come for anybody that's incarcerated, federal, state, jail, women, juvenile detention centers, because it's teaching something that's not really taught or really talked about. And again, we all can have stories and episodes around, oh man, my homie went to jail, or, I was locked up doing this. And let me tell you what it was like when we was inside. But the true testimony is like, hey, I was able to get access to this amount of money and credit using this system. I was able to buy my own property. I was able to buy my own business, get my own home, and you can do it too. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. It doesn't take, you starting to GoFundMe. It's really understanding the system in which is designed specifically for people with convictions. Next slide. So again, this is just, I think this is my last slide. Again, I hope I've been talking for a minute and I can go on and on. I don't want to just ramble, but I want to give opportunity to talk with the host and with anybody that's in the audience that's listening. And just think about the critical times that we're in. If you're feeling the financial pressure, if you're feeling this grind, this hustle, got to get it mentality, got to get my bag. If that is the thinking and you're feeling that and you don't have a conviction, think about the person that has the conviction and it's like they can't get employment because of it. They want to get engaged. They want to take care of their families. But there's this system, again, that's really preventing them from moving forward. In the early 1900s, there was women couldn't get employment opportunities just because they were women. Then from 1920s to like the 1970s, it was a fight for Blacks and African Americans to get access to employment. Then you look in the early 2000s, it was people with disabilities that were fighting for access to employment opportunities. Then as late as 2015, 2016, you would see there was this big fight for people with different sexual gender identities to get access to employment. So now, so there's this discrimination pattern that we've seen in this country, from women to race to disabilities to sexual identity. Now people with convictions. I always tell people the next people that's going to get the discrimination fact is going to be the blue people, the aliens. Like, they're going to get it hard. It's my little joke. It's corny. It's a dad joke, but I just feel like discrimination is something that America does really well, and but there is a shift that you can change. We're always going to have somebody that doesn't like because once you become successful, they're going to talk about you. Oh, now you think you all that. But we can escape poverty. We can find our freedom. And I like to think, and I use this story in the book around Harriet Tubman, where she could have, once she found the path of freedom, she could have just kept going. She could have just kept it moving, and lived her best life. But she didn't. Harriet Tubman made over 18 trips back to the South to free as many people as she could, to liberate them from this oppressive state, to show them that there is a way, right? And you're just going to have to want to escape. She said, I could have freed more people had they not known that they were slaves. Her own husband was one of the people who resisted to making a move from slavery to freedom, because he didn't trust and believe that she had found a way. Me writing this book is really God inspired. It's beyond me in a sense, but it's like, this is my, I guess, Harriet Tubman moment of coming back to people. I could take my success and take my financial wins and be like, you know what, I got mine, you got to get yours. But I have a son, I have a daughter, and a legacy that's left behind with them. It shouldn't be one of just selfishness. Together we win. And no one wins until we all win. I really believe in that collective society, that cohesiveness, that unity of community. So here's the guide, here's the workbook. It's the first really economic development guide for people with convictions in the country. And I'm just excited to be able to produce this work and have it to where we can find a way up, not just a way out. So that's all I got as far as my little spill. I'm hoping that we can talk in group. What's up, John? What's up, man?
The bishop is here. Yes, the bishop made it. I was running late, but my great team, they held it down. But the bishop is here, brother. Just want to say, man, this is powerful stuff. Just so you know, we did order your books. I got them coming in the mail. I just texted him trying to find out, where's my books at? I got some young brothers.
Yeah.
I got to get Khalees and her son one, brother. But man, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for being here and sharing this information with the community, because this is very important. These are conversations that we are having all across the country right now about reentry, what it looks like, why are we having such a high recidivism rate across the country with folks coming back in contact with law enforcement, and why can't we get these economic booms getting off the ground? So I think you own to something, okay? But we got to get the rest of the country to get behind the movement of what this look like, and it's going to be a large investment, and it's going to be a lot of work from all of us as community advocate for the support and the services that are needed. But Patrick, the first thing I want to jump into, I know you got a lot of questions, and Khalees them have a bunch of stuff that they're going to present for you to go through. But one of my biggest thing is there's a change that need to happen in the mindset of the elected officials when it comes to one, incarceration. When we look at what we call the judicial system, there's a unfair balance when it comes to Black and brown community. We notice, especially in our Black community. But there's a shift that needs to happen when it comes to the investment. When folks come back home, certain states, certain prisons get opportunities for education, for trade skills. But when we look at where we're going as a country moving forward, and the amount of investment that we're going to have to invest into technology, into software, AI, robotics, automation, because this is where it's going. I mean, I was just reading something today. They're increasing their prediction on AI replacement of jobs in this country. I think they started off at 13 something billion. I think they went up to maybe 22 billion jobs over the next 10 years. They're pushing out the max 10 years. But how do we start to invest and equip and educate folks that's locked up? Because some of these prisons are still old school, right? They don't even have internet. They don't have computers, right? Some of these folks don't even understand ATM card, digital currency. How do we advance them when they come home? And I'm glad you highlighted all of the stuff that folks who are incarcerated in the state of Louisiana are having trouble with. I mean, barbershops, because this is more now, it's a real humanity thing, right? And I think in California, a few years back, we were able to get some of that stuff. I think now in California, you can't even, on application, they don't even put if you convict on a felony. There's certain laws that was passed that they can't even do certain background checks. But we know, and some of our southern states and some of our red states, this is the issue. And when you talk about investments, and I know you said it on here, what does that look like? And I got to second you. Like, this is the time for us all tonight. Mark is here, and Khalees as a mother who dealt with it, my personal self. How do we shift this, and how do we make this appropriate to have the conversation, and how do we be intentional to really shift that narrative and really push and fight to pull these economic opportunities to advance these people, because we are so far behind. And when you look at what's going on, the investments, the amount of policies and things that are in place, I just see it getting worse. I don't see it getting better.
Yeah. So chapter 2, speaks to that, right? It's called the chapter 2 is America's addictions. So America, I outline that America has two addictions: poverty and incarceration. Like when you think of somebody that's addicted to smoking, somebody who's addicted to coffee, somebody who's addicted to drugs, right? And it's like you're constantly telling them, hey, that's bad for you. You don't need that. You're using. They make all the excuses in the world, right? And the only way to beat the addiction is to first admit that you have a problem. And so the first thing is that America's addictions, one is poverty, and then secondly is incarceration. And like you say, government has to first admit that it's actually an issue before they want to do something about it. And you'll see it in different states and different cities. Like right now, like homelessness is really starting to take a different. Like homelessness ain't homelessness like it was before. Like homelessness is it's like an invasion, right? And it's to the point where city leaders now they have to admit, hey, we have a homeless problem. But guess what? You've been having a homeless problem for 30 years, right? And it's just getting to the point where you finally are forced to admit that you have to do something about it. Those addictions that America has, again, with poverty and incarceration, until it's addressed on that level. This is the first year. I'll give you an example. I work in gun violence. So in 1994, Congress passed what was called the Dickey Amendment, which didn't allow any federal legislation on gun violence. So you couldn't study any research on gun violence. It wasn't until 2021 that Joe Biden passed like the first executive order to do federal research on gun violence. So when we look at this rise in violence and you're saying, hey, what's causing these shootings and stuff like this? Like, why is it? It seems like it's out of control. No one can produce a report and saying, this is why, what are the social causations of what's happening? Because for those 25 plus years, there was no federal research on it. But it's getting to the point where now you have to address it because people are forcing you to look at this addiction. And again, you're right. To start off the conversation, and again, it's the beginning of the book. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I feel like if I got to put a desk together, go to IKEA, we get a desk, right? I don't need to read the instructions. Just, all right, just show me the picture, right? And then I try to put it together, and as soon as you sit something on it, the whole thing collapsed, right? You have people who are trying to build themselves after incarceration without instructions, right? They're looking at, oh, John did it. I ain't nothing, right? I could do that. And it's not so. In the moment something hits you, you just collapse and fall apart because you gotta read the instructions. And what I found is that the people that are successful, that's doing it well, there's an outcomes-based model, like a best practice model, is the military. They transition, you have access to capital, USAA, Navy Federal, right? You can get your home, you get your loan, and they do pretty well. Like in spite of what you see on TV, veterans have one of the lowest homelessness rates in the country because, again, they have immediate access to capital and resources. There's no bank right now that really exists and say, hey, we have a reentry first account where we can give you, a checking, a savings, you can get you a loan, we can give you access to capital, and we can move you into a better position financially. What you see is a redlining for people with convictions is to whereas we're going to separate you, right? Based upon those convictions, you can live in these urban, undeveloped, poverty-stricken neighborhoods. We're going to raise this rent. We're going to put all these kind of restrictions on you and keep you pigeonholed here, but you can't live over there. And so we have to really, identify what's happening, but also read those instructions. The book is the instruction model for people specifically with convictions. Financial literacy isn't the same for everybody. It's not a blanket, all fits, all sizes, welcome financial literacy. There's a different financial literacy for people who are immigrants. There's a different financial literacy for people, again, who are veterans. There are people that right now, they're creating a new financial literacy model for people who have different sexual identities, right? We have to find a way that we identify specifically dealing with a customized group, because the collateral consequence, again, for people with convictions is totally different for people that don't have a conviction, that's never been incarcerated.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait to get the book, to get into some of those chapters, because I think you hit the nail right on the coffin of like, how do we model this? And I say this in mental health. Everybody's talking about I'm doing therapy, I'm seeing a therapist, and I'm healing, right? But we really don't explain in the community what does that look like. And I think that's what your book is doing, because we have to see it, because people just say, hey, you've been incarcerated, you've been this, but there's no step-by-step, play-by-play. But I know one thing that do work that help folks who are incarcerated coming back to the community is, one, we have to have a consistency on all levels, right? There has to be, because folks come home, maybe they did 10, 12 years. They don't have family sometimes. They don't have moms. They don't have pops. God bless the brothers who do. But if you don't have that village or that community to help support you, right? Now you have to have that model community that's outside of it. That's where you have your nonprofit organizations, you have your community organization, you have your church base, right? How do we get them all in the line to make sure that they have support? One of the things that I'm fighting here right now in our very city and across the state of California is, how do we be intentional to make sure these services, these resources are available the time folks hit the streets, right? Because you can go to all these classes in prison, and then they say, hey, go to this organization, go to this community resource. They supposed to do it. And the guy get there and it's like, hey, all of our seats is taken right now. You can't get in the program for 16 weeks to the next cohort. Well, in 16 weeks, that's the determining factor of a brother going back to prison, right? I got no money when I came home. I'm looking for opportunity. I'm trying to do the right thing. And every time I get access to something, I'm late. I can't get in this program because it already started or it's in the middle. So now it's about how do we come to the table, like you said, and really be intentional with this blueprint, right? Because we need programming that happens every day because people are coming in and out of the community every day, right? We need resources to make sure that they have access to funds the immediate time they hit the community. A brother just coming home from prison can't wait 2 weeks to get a paycheck.
No.
You get what I'm saying? So now our programming has to be intentional. How do we fund these people? They come home, they don't have a bank account, they don't have access to this. So how do we get them access to have funding to keep them out of that pitfall of getting caught back up? You know what I mean? So there's a big thinking pool that we really gotta, because when you look at some of these models and some of these organizations who do this work, I can see where the gap is. When I came back to the community during the pandemic, I do all of the work with our young people in juvenile hall. And I'm like, why is these young people coming back so fast, right?
Right.
I didn't want to deal with the adults because I already know how the adults is in the community. As soon as I got back in the community, I said, oh, God. We oppressing our own people. We gatekeeping our own people. Everybody hustling. You get what I'm saying? It's like, what's going on? So this is why my young people is coming back. They come in there, oh, we got jobs for you. We got jobs for you. You come out there and it's all a hustle, right? So organizations out here, they're doing their data. They checking their box. Okay, I gave 500 people a job this month. They checking the job box. But in 90 days, less than 90 days, most of these people already been let go, laid off. But they already made, they got their $20 million because they checked the box. How do we fix that?
Mark, well, real quick, let me just respond real quick, Mark.
Go ahead, brother.
That part, what you said is so important because let's say all those programs do exist. If I give you the money from the job, you do get a job. If you don't know what to do with the money that you're receiving, then it's another consequence that's going to be added onto that because, you know, like right now, my son is he's about to be 10. If I just give him like $100 and he's like, yeah, you know, he doesn't really have the concept of the value, understand what that money and how to use it. He's going to waste it. He's going to buy V-Bucks or one of these PlayStation games. That's one of the most critical pieces of learning this is because how can you execute something that you haven't been taught how to do? Right? If I can't ride it, I can't just go out and ride a horse. Right? I've seen, TV, but if I get on a horse right now, I'll probably break my back because I haven't been taught properly how to do that. In certain situations you see in relationships, right? You want men to be great husbands and fathers, but they haven't been taught that because they didn't have the example. And so we see this break and divide in family because we're trying to adapt a model that we assume we read it in a book, we've seen it on TV. That means I know how to do it. I'll be just like, no. And so we have to learn how to do these things and then also what to do with it when we get it. Mark, what you got?
Well, first of all, Brother Patrick, let me just say thank you for even taking the time to put together a book. I think all of us have been touched by the system in one shape or another. And we understand when you go through the system, a lot of times most people almost like the system itself, you lose your humanity. And just the fight for the dignity and the respect to be recognized as a human being once you come out of the system is a psychological challenge that most people, we don't feel like people see us. And if they do, they don't care. So let me say first, just say thank you for caring enough about people to see them and to put together this book to address the need. Because when you're in that survival mind state of just trying to figure out how am I going to eat, put a roof over my head and be a contributing member back into my family and community, but you don't have any tools, you don't have any relationships, and you don't have any resources, nature kicks in. It's self-preservation. So you're going to figure out how to get it. And unfortunately, we revert back to what we know. And I think it was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, your environment is always going to be stronger than nature.
Yep.
So thank you for giving a structured blueprint for somebody who's in that survival mindset to get some clarity, to figure out what they need to do to move forward. Because like the bishop says, you can give me a prayer and some encouraging words all you want, but if I ain't got no money to put in my pocket to feed myself, when as soon as you turn your back, I might just take yours.
Exactly. Going back to that example I gave, you can have the best case to overturn your conviction. You can have the best case to overturn your conviction. And you can say all day long, John, man, they got me bad. They got me bad. They got me bad. They got me bad. If you don't understand the legal process to properly file against that, guess what? You're still going to be in that system talking about how they did you bad. Unless one of those outside organizations like the Innocence Project, they come in and they overturn. That's why you see these guys got convictions for like 25, 26 years. Now they're getting it overturned and all this type of stuff here because they didn't take the time to educate and learn the system that oppressed them is the same system that you have to learn to free you. If you're feeling the financial oppression, economic oppression, you have to learn the financial system in order for you to get free from that system. And it makes all the sense in the world. But again, it's 2023, and we're now talking about the first curriculum of economic development after incarceration.
Well, I think this is kind of a derivative of the old system of buck breaking that we all kind of got to deal with psychologically, especially as men. We understand what it means as a black man in America to speak against the system that is financially motivated. It is very clear America does not operate on the value of human life. It operates on the value of almighty dollar. Yeah. So you can be the most guilty, dead to wrong person, but if you got enough money, you can purchase your freedom. Now you could be the most righteous man, and if they want to set you up and give you a trumped up charge and you don't have the legal power to fight it, you go into prison. Like we understand it's a money game. How can we honestly navigate being almost behind enemy lines as black and brown people when the system is created and incentivized to incarcerate us? They throw every trap at us. They take away every tool, all the funding, anything that would allow us to self-empower ourselves. They take it away from us, and they keep us in these cycles of bondage that they profit off of. So encourage the person who doesn't know where to start and they're trying to get out of that survival mindset. What would be the first practical thing you would tell somebody in that situation, brother?
First of all, you got to be honest with yourself. Patrick had to have a talk with Patrick, right? Because I was living a false identity. Like I was trying to live to the expectations of other people. I wanted to make this person happy. I wanted to make sure my girl was great. I wanted to, like, you're living your life to satisfy other people and you're taking yourself last. So you're the one that suffer. You're the one. And so the first thing is that you got to have this conversation. The first chapter is all about self. It's called Is Success After Prison Possible? The way and the way up, y'all gonna love this. It's an acronym, right? A way up is an acronym for what about you? I can give you all the examples of success and strategies and guide you, right? And show you, John has been successful, Mark has been successful, Khalees and her son have been successful. I'm giving you all these clear examples of how this works. But what about you? Because in order for you to find a way, you have to make a way for you. You can't just depend on, I'm giving you the tool, but you have to dig this hole. You have to get out of this situation. I did it. What about you? And so that's the first thing, is to have this conversation with a real one, right? Like real one. In prison, we like to tell people, you ask somebody, man, my Uncle John, and he's like, I don't know, John. What's his prison name? What's his nickname? What they call him? Like, because I don't use my government.
Everybody had nicknames.
And so you adapt this persona as if that's who I am. That's what it is. That's not you. Right?
No, it's a persona you adapted for that environment.
Right. And so the first thing is to have a real serious conversation with yourself. How much money do you have. Don't tell me what your uncle have, your cousin. Don't tell me what your mama got. Don't tell me what your girl got. How much money do you have? Right? Let's start there. How much money you don't have? Let's start there. And then we could create a financial plan, literacy to really build you up, not somebody else. This is all about you.
Go ahead, colleagues. I know you trying to jump in there.
So it's so hard. It's hard. And I tell you this because I remember I picked my brother up. He a couple years younger than me. Now out here it's called California Department of Correctional Rehabilitation, right? CDCR give you $200 gate money when you leave. My brother had did 16 years, not half, 16 years, and he got out with $200. So sometimes when these young men get out, they have a sense of entitlement, like, oh, the family supposed to just throw all this money and just throw everything to them. And they used to fast money because, they used to fast money. And so they figured that everyone should, throw it at them. But it makes it so hard because they go back to the same thing. He got locked up a few years ago. Right after he got out. I think he was out like 5 years and he got locked up again. He should be getting out shortly, I think. But it's unfortunate because when he went the first time, he caught another strike in there. So he has 2 strikes. So this last time, it wasn't a strike because it was in a different state. So it's kind of like you got to come back to California and you on that last leg. If you get struck out, you got your life in their hands. But I don't know if the person is not making moves to guarantee that they're going to be able to stay out and be successful out in the society. I mean, the book is there, but if they don't want to do it for themselves, Patrick, it's frustrating because I think sometimes the family want them to stay out and want to love on them more than they want to because they go into the same repeated behaviors. They talk sometimes, a good talk that you want to hear when they locked up, but then they get out and it's fast money. It's faster than what it was. Everything's fast. So I have no idea how this thing can go.
So first, I don't know any institution where rehabilitation is mandatory, right? Even though they call it Department of Corrections, rehabilitation isn't mandatory. In the military, however, you can't get discharged until you take this transition economic development course. I don't care if you're a 5-star general, 4 wars, you got to sit in this course that they have for transition to economic development. Why is it mandatory that you take economic development and transition in the military, but you don't have to take it in a place that's supposed to give you rehabilitation when you see the effects of them taking it is a proven success model? Why? Because the prison system is a business and it's designed, again, to work the way it's been working. The 13th Amendment gives you the liberty of saying, you know what? I can't own slaves, just have me a plantation, right? And create this economic wealth off of slavery, but I can create a prison system and I can create economic wealth off of prisoners because the more I keep you incarcerated, the more free labor I get, right? This system works. And so that's what you have to be. That's what John was saying first, was that we have to really be honest about the reality of where we are. That's why I say that moving from here to there, this is where we are, but this is where we need to go. And so I agree with you. And it's a tragedy. And if there's an emergency situation, if we were in a cardiac arrest or somebody had to go to the hospital, the first thing the doctor wants to know is, how critical is it? And then they're going to want to know your background. They're going to want to know your history. They want to know, have you had a family dealing with certain issues, and what are your blood? Like, they're really going to find out where you are so they can take you where you need to go to get the right treatment. We have to be able to do the same diagnosis with our financial health because we're in critical conditions right now. Like everybody right now about the code, we one step from having cardiac arrest financially because we don't know exactly our status, where we are, but we can get help and move out of this situation.
And Brother Patrick.
Patrick, go ahead, Mark.
Well, and because what he just said, I was asking who has the financial one motivation and two the wherewithal to absorb our brothers and sisters that are coming out. Because again, we understand the system is set up because it makes money off putting people in. Who has the financial motivation to keep people out?
Great question. So one, banks, the, the banking, the other, because
Right.
you move right now, you got 80 million people who have a conviction. Let's just take half of those. You take 40 million people now and make them customers of Chase, Wells Fargo, or one of these people, because you have to open accounts with one of these institutions.
Right.
If I get access to capital, I get access to home ownership. I get access to business ownership, right? A home ownership, that's 30 years of loan, right? So now you're indebted with me instead of being indebted with, you got to owe somebody, right? So who has the better advantages? Access to capital, access to resources. So the banks would have the best motivation actually to help. But again, this training, it shouldn't be optional. It should be mandatory. Before anyone is released back into society, you have to have this class on economic development post incarceration.
I'm with you, brother. It need to be in all of them for everybody coming in and out. But I'll turn it over to Bishop.
Well, I just had a couple of things. I know colleagues jumped off. She had to pull off real quick. But I mean, the reason why brothers inside the system are talking about doing right and having these aspirations, because one, you eliminated from the conditions of the community, or you said the environment earlier, right? Mm-hmm. You incarcerated, you got 3 meals a day, you got a shower, you don't have the drugs in your system, you got some of the support services, you got quote unquote some kind of stability. You come back to the community, there's no stability, there's no consistency, but I agree with Patrick. You gotta leverage the institutions that are making money off of it. You have to start with those stockbrokers. We got to start with Fidelity. We got to start with Charles Schwab, because they're making money off of this. Then you hold your cities. You don't want crime in your city, you have to make the investment. There has to be a great investment on all areas if you really want to solve this issue. Okay, here in California, and San Francisco particularly, young people just graduated last week. The city and county of San Francisco put together a policy that said every kid in our school system will get a college fund account. They started that investment in those kids at the time they started at elementary or kindergarten till they turned 18. These kids walked away, some of them with $20,000, $30,000. We have to have the same intentionality for folks in prison. This person's getting 10 years. We have to make an investment so that when this person comes home, they can realistically get a fair shot to have success. We know what it takes.
Right.
Okay. And especially you come into a city in California, and I know down there is different, Patrick, with the income to ratio thing, but you got to understand, here in California, $90,000 to $110,000 is being invested every year on locking people up. Some of that has to be invested to when a person comes home.
Let me give you proof of what you're saying, though, John. There's proof. I guess let's not just assume and guess. I want to prove that what John just said is accurate, right, Mark? I'm gonna prove it to you. No, let me prove it to you. Before one bullet, one shovel, one airplane was given to Ukraine, the United States sent over $75 billion in resources, because they knew that in order for them to rebuild and restructure, combat the war that they're facing, they need financial resources invested in order for them to rebuild and compete with this attack. You can identify other countries that are under attack, what they need immediately. $75 billion. John, you know what you could do with $75 billion, right? But here at home, to say, hey, we want to reinvest into our communities, right, that has been under attack since we arrived, right? We don't have the money. We can't find it. That's not
I,
an issue.
I mean, it's like, why would our oppressor empower us? So we have to outsmart the system that is designed to keep us in financial slavery.
You gotta read. You gotta read the manual, boss. You gotta read the manual.
Well, the thing is to fix it. I'm a dismantler, and I keep telling people the only way we gonna fix this problem in America is we have to dismantle the whole system, the Constitution, the classism, the capitalism. We have to start over. That's the only way we're going to change, because it's all tied to capitalism. It's all tied to classism. That's what we got to do. We have to dismantle. We have to vote and say this is enough. This country is going in the dirt. I'm just telling y'all right now. Look at what's going on.
Listen, again,
this is why they're invested in AI. This is why they invest, because they know the end is coming.
They know.
Can't
Listen,
just keep printing out money. It's coming to an end. The
Let me
interest
prove-
rates are high. The dollar is worth nothing. We got a president out here, facing 37 counts. Okay, but people in the community can't vote for the president, but he can still run.
And that's a Fed case too. You know, the Feds don't play. The Feds gonna get 85% of that time.
You look at, okay, let me prove what John just said again, right? There's a movie, Aliens, right? And the alien is tearing them up. They capture one. And when they capture one, the first thing they do is dissect it. So they figure out how we can destroy it, right? They take it apart, like John said, to really look at, okay, this is what, okay, all right, we found this weakness. So now we know how to attack it because we've taken it apart. We studied it. Now we know how to attack it so we can win victory. This system like you're right, John, this system that's attacking us, when do we sit down and take it apart and look at, wait a minute, hold up. How can someone come from Middle Eastern country and own all the gas stations? Like they just got all the gas stations, right?
It's built in, but like you say, they've had the game plan since the 70s.
And listen, they could get a gas. Why you got to take our chicken too? So you got, like, we can't have nothing. We can't have the gas on another chicken. Like
they taking it all. It's economic warfare out here.
No, it's definitely economic warfare. And I mean, the other thing is, the great investment in other folks is what's taking this country down, and that's why they have a radical person like Trump running when he says trying to bring this country back, because they know, see, they thought it was only going to impact black folks. But like we know, when you hate, when you intentionally try to do the will of the people that God has put here, it's going to backfire. Why do y'all think these white folks is at the Capitol going crazy right now? Because now it's running back to them. It's falling on these white folks is afraid as ever. And they doing everything in their power to try to still give them an advantage, and they know it's running out. You invest in India, you invest in China, you invest in these countries, and these very people are turning their back on America right now.
And I mean, it shows that, man, this what you're saying is just why this program is so valuable, and what you guys are doing, like, it is so critical, because when they talk about the revolution won't be televised and stuff like this or whatever, like, it can be recorded though, and instead of talking about Cardi B or who's getting injections or stuff like this or whatever, like, this is the conversation. This is this is the key. And again, going back to being incarcerated, so I did 13 years and 9 months. You had a small group in the institution that actually was talking about laws. Like, like one or two dudes that, a group of them, was always reading the law library, had all the books.
We know who the jailhouse lawyers were.
Right. And you find that person, right? And they're like, okay, because they knew we got to do the same thing, right? And again, it's really about this cooperative economic system that we need to work. We need this program to be successful too. We need this to get out. We need people to get behind this kind of conversation, right? And really change people's thinking and mind. Like this should be part of school curriculums to have conversations, with schools and universities and systems and stuff like that. Because as long as you're blind, ignorance to the law isn't an excuse. Ignorance to finances isn't an excuse either.
No.
Hey, Patrick, I'm going to say this because you know what? I'm tired of these schools. I'm just going to say it. I'm tired of the educational system. I need all of you uppity. I'm just going to say it because I'm tired. Uppity black folks with all your degrees, all your PhDs.
The big ones.
We have our own school. We need to educate our own community.
We do.
Lawyer, you know how many lawyers out here are probably pimping our people? Okay?
Yeah.
I need some of you uppity lawyers out there, all you fraternity, sorority lawyers out there, to come together and educate our community. You remember when the police, when they used to bring lawyers to the community and teach all of the young people about the law, and then a lot of this stuff that was going on stopped. But you know what happened? People started living that comfortable life. I got my degree. I'm in this sorority. I'm in this fraternity. All them people gonna stay like that.
The talented 10th.
Right, but what's happening is the pressure now is falling back. Now all these people are trying to get involved. We got to stop trying to get involved, and we got to create our own. I'm just saying, I'm tired of the school district. I'm tired of this educational, systemic racist system. We got to teach financial literacy. We got to get mental health. We got to build up everything black in the next 5 years. We got to start doing it, community. We can't keep sitting back waiting on these schools. It is not going to happen. We got to take control of this. It's going to take me, you, Patrick. We got to get down there. All of the stuff that we're doing, the blueprint here in California. We got to get to New Orleans. We got to get to Alabama. We got to get across this country and empower our people. Our people are discouraged across this country. They are afraid to speak up. They hear reparations. They like, John, here, we don't want to talk down here. But we know reparations is needed. I was just watching a segment today. And now these rappers are starting to get it. You know, they in the community. The average drug dealer out there on the street don't even have $10,000 in savings. And he said, this is what we got to do. Stop playing like it's looking good. It ain't good in the hood right now.
It's not. We got
to start telling our young people that we ain't got no money. We starving out here. Everybody's trying to make broke look good.
That's what.
So we got some opportunities. Patrick, what you doing, leveraging this funding. We got all these black businesses being bought out across the state of California. And all I hear black folks doing is complaining about, why these Latin groups doing it? Why these Asian groups doing it? But we spend the most money. I said, we can't even come together to keep our own. We done got too comfortable, Patrick. I'm just going to say this. Black folks, they got too comfortable in this racist country. Because we got access to TVs, because we get to drive the nice cars, because we got a little job and an educational title, black folks done got too comfortable. I got to call my people out right now. Yep. We done got too comfortable. And that comfortable has made us vulnerable, and that vulnerability have gave the enemy the opportunity to take advantage of us, and we believe it because a couple of us are doing okay. It's not okay, community. We got to tighten up. We got to hold our community. We insane right now, Patrick. I mean, we are insane in our community. The things that we are doing, I just feel like we don't have backbone. There's a lot of movement happening. I'm not going to take nothing away from everybody, but we got folks being racist to our people. We still buy their products. We got things happening. There's no boycott power. We have become our own enemy, Patrick. I'm just saying.
And I would take the Native American model. I would take a reservation at this point, right? I've been in New Mexico, and I've actually, I'm part of the Global Kellogg Fellowship, and we went to Albuquerque, and we went to a rural reservation. And I was blown away. They have their own schools, they have their own government system, they have their own tribe, like they have their own. They have their own. It's different when you go I went to San Francisco and I saw Chinatown. It's different. The reservation, totally different. It's like going into another country inside the country, right? And what they would want you to believe as is, oh, it's just poor. You know, they still riding horses and teepees, and these people got big old casinos, right? So,
and they don't want nobody messing with it too. They
right,
protect
and
it.
so the thing about it is that, you know what, that's a nice little model. Like, you know, if there's so much issue with blacks, well, just give us Georgia, right? Don't give us Atlanta, give us the whole state of Georgia, right? And that's our reservation, right? Because the reparations thing is scary, because if I just start giving people money and I haven't educated on you what to do with it, this is gonna go right back. That's what, like Powerball winners, they get this money, $40 million, and 3 years later they broke, because they haven't been educated on the right amount of financial literacy to know what to do with that money.
And that the mindset aspect, man, because we talk about this. Look, we've all seen this. You can give somebody an opportunity that they don't have the capacity to maintain,
right?
And the opportunity does more damage to them than it does good. And not to say they don't, they want it. We all want it. We want to be able to have money. We want to be able to have the ability to do what we want. But do we have the discipline, the self-control, and are we on code with a bigger picture? Because we've been conditioned to be so individualistic that I don't even think we recognize the Stockholm syndrome as black folks we have in America.
Oh, my
like
God.
Literally, some of us are still so addicted by trying to be accepted by the system that we will fight against our opportunity to support our own people in getting free.
Man,
now, Mark, I gotta say this for you and Patrick, because this is both sides of the conversation. I gotta push back a little bit on it.
Come on.
I've been part of this reparation stuff. I listen in on what's going on. I'm gonna just say this. At this point where I'm at with it, I don't give a damn what black folks do with that money. I just told somebody the other day, I don't care if they go buy rims.
It's owed to us. Oh yeah, you owe it.
I'm gonna just tell you like this: our people, they owe us. If you give our people the money, I tell you right now in San Francisco, I'm just gonna speak for San Francisco. I can't speak for the whole country. We have a $14 billion budget right here in San Francisco. If we took 15% of that $14 billion budget and impacted the black people in San Francisco, do you understand the amount of change that can happen? Because black folks can't get mental health because they don't have money to get a doctor.
Right.
They can't get the medical support they get because they don't got the money. They can't get the education they want because they ain't got the money. They can't get the housing that they want because they ain't got the money.
No.
At the end of the day, like I tell all these white folks who running around crazy, oh, reparations is gonna mess up everything. I said, how? Y'all talk about black folks don't own anything. All they gonna do is go spend their money in your white businesses. Since we don't own anything, that's still stimulating the economy. It's still going back into the city. So what difference does it make?
Well, again, because you hitting on they God. They talk about God, but everybody know that money is the real God in America. Let's just be real. People will steal, kill, rob, and destroy to make sure they get, keep, and hold on to all their money. And even if I owe you, you know how people is, they borrow money from you quick, but when it's time to pay back, they're a little slow to pay back. Reparations, the word itself just on principle means to repair something you broke. If you broke it, you got to fix it. Simple. But it's hard. It means I'm going to have to sacrifice, and I'm going to have to give some financial power back to the people that I've been stealing it from all this time. And nobody gives back power. You got to take it.
John, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I'm not saying that we don't. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have it, right? I'm just trying to give, like, now that you're going to get this money, just take this, this little learning step-by-step guide on when you have it, what to do with it. I brought up the casino earlier. Shooting dice on the street is different from shooting dice in the casino, right? On the street, we got it. But then when you go in the casino, there's a whole different set of rules, and you're like, man. And so it creates this problem because you don't understand this system is different from the one you've been trained and accustomed to. Making that adjustment is just really learning both systems, right? And so it's not that I'm against reparations. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we should also have a learning around the system of money. And it shouldn't just start as an adult. Like I feel like as young as you're growing up, once you learn place value and money and change in school, whatever period you learn pennies and quarters and dollars, you should learn the usage and financial investments and financial literacy as early as you can. We should grow up with our kids thinking wealth, breathing wealth. I go in some of these communities and other ethnic organizations in their businesses. They have their kids as young as 6, 7, 8, 9, working the register, stocking stuff, because they're learning this system of business, because that becomes their new normal, right? Working the business, get money for their family. We have to create that same system internally in our community.
And Patrick, that comes with ownership. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why we can't do this, because when I grew up, okay, before my mom had to work 3 jobs as a single parent, she taught us how to write a checkbook. She taught us how to balance it. She would bring it home and say, this is the money. After I pay all this, this is what left. This is why we in this situation. We don't get that no more. Mom's working 2 jobs. We're not even eating dinner at the house no more together, right? We don't own nothing. And that's why I say just give my people the money, because I still believe if you gave our people the money, there's some things that's going to happen, because it's empowerment and ownership. See, like you said, and I could tell you right here in San Francisco, I don't need to go far. Right here in my back door. We got a Chinatown. We got a Japantown. We got a Little Italy. We got a Russian part of the city. We got a Latin part of the city. But where's the black part of the city at?
Go.
No ownership.
Right.
Okay. So they can empower each other because they own something. This is why I'm saying, and this is why these people don't like me, Patrick. This is why they kick me out of all of the meetings. They don't want to listen. They don't want to invite me to nothing, because I'm not for this performative black agenda of being black performers. See, we already artists and we already dancers and magicians. I don't want to do it anymore. So when I go in these meetings, I tell them, I don't want to hear all of this. I want ownership. All these people parading around my city. We got all these black businesses. And then you go in there, you talk to the black business on how many of y'all own your business.
Right.
0. So are you giving me what I really need to be sustainable? No. So don't have me. I'm not parading around. Yes, I'm not hating. It's good to see black folks with a business doing something. I'm not taking that away from them. But you're not giving my people sustainability. You're not giving us the opportunity to empower our community. Because again, if we got 52 black businesses in my city that owns their real estate, that owns their brick and mortar, they can hire brothers from prison. We can empower our community. I can bring you in and teach you something. But when I don't own and I'm barely making it, and you didn't really give me the investment to be sustainable.
Right.
Because I'm just giving you something so y'all can shut up. Because this is crying wolf money. I gave you an opportunity. We're going to pay your store. This is what they do. We're going to pay your lease for 3 years. We're going to give you a business. We'll go on the national news and say, look at all these black businesses. Oh, look at San Francisco. We got all these black businesses. But we don't own nothing.
Right.
In 4 years, when the agenda changed, when the leadership changed, all of those black businesses are gone. And then we at the door, knocking on the door again. Oh, we got nothing. Oh, they moved us out of the community. Oh, it's gentrification. Now we back blaming white people. We back blaming Asian people. We back blaming Latin people. I don't get it.
Bishop, let me jump in. I want to ask Brother Patrick, because you mentioned going that next step once we get money. And let's talk about the title of business owner, because I think the last statistic that I saw, most businesses that are listed are sole proprietorships. So when we talk about what is a real sustainable business model, what's the difference between somebody who just gets a sole proprietorship or gets an LLC, but they got a job, and what's a real business that would be able to contribute and actually hire employees and be sustainable?
So chapter 7, John, that's your chapter, right? You just told everybody. You just told everybody the whole chapter.
As soon as my book comes, I'm going straight to chapter 7, brother.
That's chapter 7, right? And but to answer the question directly, those systems are just set up for taxes, right? Whether you're sole proprietor, LLC, C corp, that's just really for the government to understand just how much money I'm gonna eat off of you, And so, whether you set up a 501c3 nonprofit, all these systems and codes that you put in and how you set up the business, at the end of the day, right, they're saying, yes, you can make money, but we need to know how much of your money we're going to get. And so that's really all of, trying to decide which one is better than the other and anything and stuff like that. It's really just designed to see how much you're going to pay in taxes.
Okay.
Thank you, Patrick, for saying that, because I've been telling these black folks, they got all these damn people on TikTok, get an LCC, it's better than self-pride. Listen, at the end of the day, it's basic mathematics.
Right.
If you go in there and you buy the building, it's $200,000 and you own the damn building. No matter what type of LLC you got. If you got the products and people are coming in, the business is thriving. I'm glad you say it, because I keep telling people all this is a way folks to play tax games that black folks ain't even equipped enough to understand the loopholes of all of it anyway. That's all it is. It's just roadblocks. I want ownership. I want to see businesses that says this lease is not a lease. This documentation of ownership is yours. That's what I want. Now, let the black folks figure it out. Pay your taxes, figure out the rest, how you want to set up your LLC and whatever it's going to be. First, get the ownership. So again, to all these cities and all these states across this country, don't be setting black folks up with the hand-me-down halfway plan. Okay, we'll pay your rent for 3 months. See, this is why I be telling black folks about how white folks trick us. White folks understand, Asian folks understand the power of ownership. I'm experiencing it right now, Patrick. I'm trying to get a brick and mortar, and these folks want to give me everything. John, we'll give you this. But when you start saying I want ownership, you should see their eyes, Patrick. Ownership, huh? Oh, yeah, I want ownership. You ain't moving me out of my community. You're not going to disrupt my information and my people. Oh, the conversation changed when you talk about ownership. Oh, right. That's a lot of money. Oh, but you over here promoting equity, inclusion, diversity. Oh, we want to help the black people. We want to see them thrive. Oh, you want to see me thrive? Invest in me the right way. Give me ownership. See, they know what a generational wealth is.
So proof of what John said. I got to give this proof, right? You see a lot of athletes who compete as a player, but when they try to pool their resources and become owners, it's a whole different conversation. Everybody likes Magic Johnson, thinks he's a nice guy. But when he speaks that he wants to, buy and own certain establishment, it becomes a problem. And so we're quick to have all these kids around the park saying, hey, I want to be the next LeBron James or the next Kobe Bryant or Steph Curry. But how many of them saying that they want to be the next owner, of a team, of an organization? And so, John, you're absolutely correct. We have to, again, that was one of the things I talked about first in the book, is access to capital, access to resources. It creates that access to ownership. Chapter 7. I can't wait till you check it out. You're going to say I did good.
Yeah, I'm waiting for your book to come, brother, because I need to get into it. I know it's getting late, but I don't know if you've seen it, Patrick. I don't even know who this brother is. I see something on social media, because y'all always know I'm in these digital streets. But it's a brother on there. He's a wealthy businessman. I can't think of his name right now. I've seen him. I don't know him. So that's on me, community. But he did a TikTok, and he said, I want to be the new Federal Reserve for the hood. That's what he said. I want to be the new Federal Reserve for my hood. So he's retired from some corporate entity with all these billions of dollars. He's a mastermind. And he's like, I want to create the black Federal Reserve for my community and bless the people of my community. I want to follow this brother. I want to find out what he's doing, because that's what we need. We need some black billionaires, trillionaires to come together and say, look, I know black folks, if we invest in them, could do amazing things. We are the culture. We are the food. We are the entertainment. We are the day-to-day livelihood that keep this country running. I don't care what these people say. If you invest in black folks right now, this Dreamkeeper initiative that our mayor has put into the community with the help of a number of elected officials, as soon as black folks started thriving, I'm just telling you, Patrick, the hate started. Oh, black folks are having fun. Oh, black folks are getting this. It's all of this hate. They know that model will work if you feed the people. Believe me, my black people. That's why I say I don't care what they're going to do. You give them the right amount of money. You give them the right resources and the access to your book and your information. I believe black folk will do something. I just gotta say it. I'm not gonna believe and buy into this agenda of if we give black people money, they're gonna blow it. I just don't believe it. Now, there will be a handful, there will be a percentage, but I believe the overall people, because it's like anything else. I'm gonna just tell you, you're a hungry dog out there and you're ready to eat, you get some beef, you're going to town, baby. That's just what it is. And I believe if you put black folks in the right position in this country to advance their community, to have ownership in their community, to be able to control their school, control their narrative. I don't care what they say. We unstoppable. I'm just gonna tell y'all, we unstoppable. And I believe that.
There's a show on TV. It's called Yellowstone. I don't know if you ever seen it. It's like, but it's about this rancher who has all this land in like let's say North Dakota, somewhere like that, right? And he's defending his ownership of his land and legacy and generational wealth because he owns, like you say, the land. And everybody's like, oh, you need to watch Yellowstone. It's so good. It's so this, it's so that. And it's like, okay, I get it, but where's our Yellowstone? Where is our own? Like, I don't want to just keep celebrating their success, their wealth. Oh, this is nice. I want to visit Graceland, right? I want to see where Elvis lived, right? Like we got to get past it, bro. And so, I mean, I'm with you. I'm just trying to say, hey, like for the people that do know, don't know, I just got a little instructional model to help them, make their way, man. And that's like, I'm not trying to be selfish with mine, right? I want to be able to say, hey, again, I did my time. I was incarcerated. I've been out 10 years now. I'm doing pretty well for myself. Here's a way. And you have to define for yourself how you're going to move again from here to there. There's a way that you can do it. And it doesn't have to take a lot of struggle. It doesn't have to take a lot of sacrifice. I mean, I saw some people that, they got into this whole Bitcoin thing. That's not my financial model, but I'm not saying that it's not effective. A good friend of mine, Wall Street Tracker, he do stocks and stuff like that. That's not my model, but it's another way that you can find financial, freedom. I'm just giving you the fundamentals of the basics. Here's the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s for you to get started. Now, if you want to graduate and go into college, financial literacy, do that. But you should have a base model that's going to help you elevate, from out of incarceration.
Hey, thank you, Patrick, for saying that, because that's what it's all about. And I appreciate that, because I tell people it's like anything. If you got a foundation, that's why I tell people I ain't no square, Patrick. I'm a triangle. People ask, what are you? I'm a triangle, okay? I got a solid foundation, and I'm sharp on the top, okay? I'm not a square. Don't call me a square, because I'm not a square, community. I'm a triangle, and I'm always trying to build a solid foundation, and I'm trying to keep everything up here sharp. So I'm glad you're here today, brother, because that's what it's all about. That foundation that you're trying to build in our community. Get the basics, community. Everything starts with the basics, even basic math. You start off with the basics, you can add on all the trigonometry and calculus, but you got to understand the basics. And I appreciate that model that you bring in. I think this is the model that we got to bring to our community. Learn the basics, how to balance a checkbook, how to save, how to have an emergency fund. Understand the difference between the asset and the liability. You get what I'm saying? The basic stuff. Stay out of debt, because the new slavery is debt, okay? These white folks can figure it out. We're going to put you in so much debt. You ain't going to never get out, okay? Everybody got money, but they live in check to check. That's why I keep telling people it ain't about 6 figures. It ain't about 8 million. I know a lot of millionaires broke right now, check to check. Just what it is, just a different level of brokenness. Your wholeness is in ownership. How do we own, community? We got to figure out, how do we own? How do we connect with this brother Patrick? How do we get the next leaders of our community to continue to focus on investing in the foundation of what we need? The basics. Who's the new Harriet Tubman? We got some people that we got to get across to the other side. Who's the new Frederick Douglass? I'm just saying, community, we need some leaders.
Right.
Where's all of the folks at that want to make sure that we uplift the people? I am so sick and tired of my people walking around with their nose in the air, bragging about their degrees, talking about their fraternities. I need you in the community with the people. You went to learn all this information foundation and you holding on to it to go to the grave. God didn't put you here. Our ancestors didn't march for you to walk around parading about your degrees and what you're doing. Oh, I'm so great. I had somebody on the phone. I got my doctorate degree. Put some respect on my name. I told her, look, I ain't gonna never call you a doctor until you do something for the people. What are you doing for my people? I'm not acknowledging you because you went to some systemic racist white institution so that you could brag and say, I'm a doctor. You're going to call me a doctor. I will not call you a doctor.
Right.
I will call you the oppressor of our people. I want to know what you're doing for the people. Now, if you go in there and say, I got a doctor, but I'm out here doing this and I'm making sure my people get this, I will respect your name. That's just what it is. But we got too much of that in our community. Everybody want to talk about their big houses. Lady got 5 bedrooms. 3 of her family members sleeping on the street. I said, what kind of lady are you? This is our problem, Patrick. We got to fix this. And that's why your book is important. The foundation of family, of community has to be rebuilt in our Black community. And it starts with holding Black people accountable for the things that they do. This is the time. This is now. We are here, Juneteenth weekend. You talk about liberation, uplifting Black folks, coming together, reinvent, reimagine all these great classy words that they use in these rooms. Oh, we got to reimagine everything. Well, this weekend, let's reimagine. Let's have a Juneteenth weekend that's powerful. I'm going to tell you, we got all these artists coming out here. We got Ray J coming out here. We got Bobby Valentino. Why we don't have Patrick out here? Why we don't take this Juneteenth weekend to educate our community? See, this is where we got to get our stuff together. It's not about fun. We're not free. We're not liberated yet. Look at the condition of Black folks across this country.
And so, John, man, that point's so hard, and I just want to echo that. It should be on a T-shirt. What people don't realize, I mean, I get the idea we celebrate Juneteenth, but what people don't know is, like, after slavery, Africans witnessed like the most suffering, inhumane. People was dying from starvation, right? There's a book, I forgot the name of it, but it's like, so like the period like after the slavery was abolished, you didn't have access to food, to housing. So people was literally just dying on the street because there was no access to resources of capital. So in the same vein, when you're saying, okay, let's talk Juneteenth. Juneteenth should be the most financial beneficial day for any person of color in America. Don't tell me like every Juneteenth we should get a check. Like you don't tell somebody, oh, we're gonna celebrate, we recognizing we freeing slaves, right? You're acknowledging the problem, but not giving anything to resolve or fix it. So it's like we celebrate, oh, you got COVID, right? But we're not giving nothing to treat it. If we can recognize and identify, that's why I said the first thing is to being able to identify where you are in the problem in order for us to solve it, because we have this addiction. Okay, we understand that slavery happened. What are you then giving in that? So if we celebrate Juneteenth and there's no financial stimulus or part of it, what are we doing?
Now, I know what we're doing. We out here trying to charge our people on Juneteenth. This is what we do, Patrick. We charge our people, okay? It's Juneteenth. We're going to poverty pimp our people. This is the day white folks across this country, we should be demanding them to spend their money with us.
Exactly.
They should be uplifting. This is our day.
Everybody should get a check.
Walmart's making money off all the little Juneteenth flags.
Target got T-shirts.
And Black folks ain't getting that. But we charging each other. We tripping with each other.
I think they call it.
This is about no more, Patrick. I said, are we celebrating Juneteenth? All right, this is another picnic day. Black folks come together. We having a picnic day. We playing dominoes and talking smack. This is the day. This is the weekend. We should be uplifting our ancestors.
We should get more money.
We should be having healing circles. Where's all my Black therapists at? Every Juneteenth event, we should have therapists in circles there. Black folks, come sit down over here. Let's get our mental health together. Hey, y'all, we got Patrick over here. We got a table of financial people that's going to teach you some stuff. Here, pick up the book. We should be educating our people, uplifting them. Hey, we should be strategizing. Hey, since we can't get all you Black people together at one time, now let's take this time to elevate the Black people. See, if it was me, Patrick, this is why they don't like me, because I'd be like, this is what I would do. I would all the big name artists on my Juneteenth event. They better not never give me the money for the Juneteenth event. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Beyonce name on there, Jay-Z, all the top artists. I'm going to say, yeah, come to my event. They all going to be here. I want all the Black people to come. And then when they gonna come, I'm gonna say, now we're gonna have financial literacy. Y'all come to see Beyonce, huh? We're gonna talk about all of this. That's how we're gonna do. We'll bring all the black people in one space. And I'm gonna say, hey, go over there. We got financial literacy. Hey, go over there. Oh, you came all the way to see Beyonce, huh? Yeah, we'll see you over there to see that therapist, okay? We'll see you over there. We're gonna go to Patrick table. We're gonna learn some financial literacy. Oh, we'll see you over there. You're gonna learn investment. Oh, we're gonna see you over there. We're gonna teach you how to get a job. Oh, we're gonna sit over here. We're gonna teach you this. That's what I want to do. Because black folk, we show up for the wrong thing. They put Bobby Valentino on there. Everybody, oh, I'm coming to see Bobby Valentino, Ray J. They don't know a damn thing about black folks. They don't even understand what this Juneteenth is. I done asked about 15 people. They still can't tell me what it is. Do y'all understand in Galveston, Texas, the rest of the folks is free and these folks, this just goes to show you the education. But we looking at this as a time to come dance. That's our problem. We just want to dance and boogie, drink and laugh, and talk smack. Instead of coming together, now we all together. Let's figure out how we gonna advance the people, how we gonna get our businesses together. Hey, y'all, we all here. This is the next play. We all in the room together. Let's move now, y'all. Let's do something.
The cost of 10, if you get 10 people, the cost of 10 Beyonce tickets, you can buy your own property. You can start your own business. Like those instead of taking your friend to see Beyonce, take your friend to the bank and start a business. Like, it's crazy again, but if you don't have the education, Jake, if you don't have the education, Mark, like that's what you're gonna see. You're gonna see like people spending like $3,000 for a 2-hour concert. It's crazy. And so I just
that's part of the psychological slavery.
I'm thankful we can have this conversation, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm just grateful to even be here, man, all the way from New Orleans. Who that, we do it,
Hey, Patrick, we're going to have another conversation, but we'll do it on our Sunday conversation so we can invite some other brothers and community folks, because this segment is really to educate people. But we'll have a conversation about it, but we need to have that conversation. I know it's late. You got to get out of here, brother. But Patrick, man, we got some work to do, brother. We got some work to do. It don't matter you in New Orleans. That's the next thing that we got to break down in our community. Not about where you from. With black folks, whether you in New Orleans, I'm in California, you in Texas, it doesn't matter. How do we strategize as black folks?
We got access. We got access, man. We don't have to be siloed. We have access, man. And so that's why I prop this up, man. I appreciate everything that y'all doing, but it's just the conversation, right?
Man, definitely. But look, before we let you go, brother, I know you said that. I want to give you opportunities to give your last words, promote your book, any shots out, because we got to get out of here. I know it's late, brother, but
we
powerful. You powerful. I ordered a bunch of books. I'm gonna make sure that my young folks inside the jail get them. I'm gonna make sure some of my community organizations read it. I'm gonna get Kylie's her book, brother. Listen, we got to keep pumping this. I'm all for what you're talking about, the foundation. We need a foundation to build on. Black folks, this is our time to be educated and renewed. And I'm going to keep pushing for black folks getting paid to get educated. It's hard to be educated. We got bills and child care and all of this. I'm going to keep saying, black folks, we got to be paid. I don't care what they say about reparations, however they want to do it. It's a way that we got to invest in black folks. This country will never succeed to be what it's going to be without black people. And they know it. They got to make the investment. But go ahead, brother Patrick. Go ahead and give the people.
So I'm gonna give you this. I got this quote in the book, and I just want to close it. I think it's so powerful. But first book's called Way Up: Economic Development Post Incarceration. You can find it on all platforms, Amazon, to Barnes and Nobles. We everywhere with this thing. My website is raiseyourbarllc.com. You can find all my information, training, stuff that I do there. But this quote is, water seeks its own level. Look at them, the Tigris, the Euphrates, the Mississippi, the Amazon, and the Yangtze. The world's greatest rivers, every one of them, they find their way to the ocean. Believe that you can make your way, right? And so we have to find that way, no matter where we are, what part of we have to flow like that river and find our way to our ocean. And so, man, my whole goal is to find a way up, not just a way out. Economic development, post incarceration. There are so many collateral consequences for people who have convictions, but that shouldn't stop you from putting you in a better position. We can have a path to prosperity. Find a way up, not just way out.
Wow, dope. Find your way up. The brothers in New Orleans. The water levels is higher than the city, okay? But he's still finding a way to stay
Gotta
afloat.
find a way.
Man, go, man. We appreciate you, brother. Who that nation? You know, I'm a Niner fan, but you know, I'll rock with the Saints when they not playing the Niners. Okay, I don't know what Derek Carr gonna do for y'all this year, but I'm gonna support y'all, brother.
Man, I don't know either, bro.
Patrick, I promise you, brother, I'm gonna get down there to see you because I got some things coming up, and I'll be down there in New Orleans. I'll make sure I reach out to you so we can definitely sit down and chop it up and meet in person and have something to eat, because I think this is what it is, and we need to strategize because there's some things going here in San Francisco, and I think y'all can really benefit and see how we leverage some of the stuff that we're doing here. And you know, but it's about, like you said, educating these young people, getting them in positions, and like you said earlier, education. But it's the basic stuff. We got to teach our young people down there their civic duty, understand how to get involved with voting. They got to understand the power, and that's what we're losing because nobody understands the power and all that. So I'm just excited and pumped up that you are one of those folks who are in those spaces, activating your voice and making sure that these folks are getting the, you know, these political folks are getting, because we know these senators, they ain't reading the bills, they just signing off stuff. I've been in, I was like, oh, this is terrible. I had to get away from it. I said, y'all, these bills is terrible. Nobody's reading anything, they just signing things off if it sound popular. It's just crazy. We got to rechange that. So we got to really invest in our young people and really teach them our civic duty and get them involved in the process early so that we can really make change. And it's going to take some time, but I think our minds is shifting. I think what's going on right now, this economic crunch that is happening right now, financial capacity, where we at, the collapse of what's going on, this new breakthrough of what the new financial model is going to look like, is going to push Black folks in the corner where they're going to have to get involved. So we're getting there, but we want to definitely make sure that they're prepared and intentionally set up before the walls come crumbling down in this place we call United States of America. But thank you, brother. I know it's late. Get some rest. Thank you again for being here. We're going to have a conversation on a Sunday, and hopefully one of these days we get you back to do a real breakdown of the financial plan that you have in place and really just teach people how to save and invest and do all those great things from the basic stuff.
Yep. Thank you, boss. Y'all be good.
Hey, man, be good. Go Saints, brother. I'm going to give it to you this time, but when they play the Niners, it's going down. But good seeing you, Pat. Have a good one, brother. We're looking forward to seeing you soon.
Happy Father's Day to you as well, brother.
Same thing, man. Happy Father's Day to the fathers. Yeah.
Man, right on, brother. Right on. All right, there y'all have it. What a beautiful presentation. I know I got here late. Mark, oh my God, Mark, I was about to give you an Emmy. I said, Mark sound like one of the news anchors, man. He was out there pushing y'all. I was like, look at my brother. Boy, I told y'all, boy, we got some cool people in our community. And brother Mark, I just want to say thank you for being here. You and Khalees holding it down. I know Ayo's out enjoying herself right now, and that's what it's all about. But you know, your heart, your consciousness, and how you care about Black people. I love the spirit. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made this choice. We're going to do something impactful. It's not going to be not worth your time, because that's one thing about me. I'm like, hey, I got some Black folks who really stand up for Black people, trying to do something. And we're going to make something shake, brother, because that's what we need, brother. Solidarity. We need sister solidarity. We need our communities to come together and really uplift what's going on and really be the voices. And we got to have the unpopular voice sometime, Mark. And that's why I'm glad you're here, because everything can't be okay. And we can't just do everything business as usual. We got to shake the pot, as my grandma used to say, shake the pot. You got to get the stuff in there to get the flavor. You got to shake the pot, okay? So we got to shake the pot. But before I give it to you, Mark, to give some part words, I just want to give a shout out to the Miami Northland Vikings. Okay, and they're amazing band. Okay, see, this is all the people. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I got an award that just came in the mail. I was stepped out. I was coming. I got a package. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Okay, you know, they gave us an award. You know, these young folks, they came on our platform about a year ago down there in Miami, and they were trying to keep their band, and they didn't have the funding and the support. And I told them that I was going to support them because I'm a man of my word. Okay, and we made a significant donation to them to help impact their band so that their band could keep going, and they got through their season. And the parents, the faculty, the coaches, and they sent us this here honor and merit award to both sides of the conversation. You know, the band they just want to express their gratitude to us, Mark, for the donation and the support. And they just want to say thank us. And again, for our community here in San Francisco, like I told y'all, we everywhere. We love on people, Black folks everywhere. Y'all know I got a heart for young people. And when my young people need support and they come crying out for support, both sides of the conversation is always support our young people, support our elders in our community. And I was just honored tonight to see that. So I wanted to share that out with the community and say, hey, this is another a blessing, just to be a blessing. You get what I'm saying? And this is what we do, y'all. We impact Black people, and not just here in San Francisco, because I know y'all, everything is San Francisco. We love on Black people everywhere. Our
Yes,
majority
we
of our
do.
work and funding and support is for San Francisco, but we got other support, outside support, and I will always spend my personal dollars to impact young people across this country. So shout out to my people in Miami, for all y'all that say Black San Francisco, both sides of the conversation, only for Black folks in San Francisco. No, we love on people all across this country, and we support our folks out there in Miami, our young people, okay? It's not about the politics. It's not about the state you're in. I'm just about young Black people. And when they come crying to the bishop, when they say we need your support, bishop, y'all know the bishop is going to stand up and support the young Black folks. So proud moment for me. Shout out to those young folks. I'm going to send them a video and thank them as well. And I'm glad they was able to get through their season. And anything we can do to continue to support the work that those young folks are doing, we're definitely going to uplift them. Shout out to Feline Finesse Dance Group. Those young ladies, we supported them. They went down to LA and they did a mighty good job down there as well. So again, we love our young people. We support our young people. Shout out to 100% College Prep last night. I was up late out there with those young people as they are going to college, doing some phenomenal things. Don't tell me young Black males and females aren't excelling, because last night, those young folks came from the roughest neighborhoods, the toughest neighborhoods, the most obstacles, and they still walked across the stage with 4.0s and doing some amazing things. So again, we will always invest in Black children. We will always invest in Black people. We will always invest in Black businesses. And yeah, we love our brown community. We uplift them as well. But I always say our Black folks, they need it the most. We always go support them. And we thank all of you for continuing to support the work that we do and the way we impact community. We can't do this, none of this, without all of you. And definitely we can't do it without my brother, Mark. Mark, go ahead and tell people about what you heard and see today. Give us a wrap up, because Kali said here she ran out before she gave my wrap up. But I will give the benediction. All right, go ahead, Mark.
Well, Bishop, man, first of all, man, what an amazing guest. This topic was so on point personally. I know what that journey is like, what that struggle is like, and how important it is to have a community of people, especially when it comes to family and being able to provide the basics. He's actually put together a real blueprint that I think anybody coming out of those circumstances would be able to get value from. And I'm all for him having this book be mandatory inside of every institution, so that our brothers and sisters can have a mental blueprint and game plan for when they step out to be successful. So yeah, just real impactful information. He's a sharp brother. Look forward to hearing more about the actual details of actually what he teaches on everyday living, on how to invest, how to save, how to network, how to get jobs. He's a wealth of knowledge and information. So definitely look forward to talking to him again. I got to thank you and the team. Again, we give both sides of the conversation. I love the fact that we keep it real. I'm always an optimist, but I do understand there's a reality that we're up against something as Black and brown people here. But as long as we've got our mind made up and we understand we need each other, there's nothing that's going to stop us. So it's an honor and a privilege to be able to come alongside and serve with you and the team, man. You guys have my head and my heart. So thank you for the opportunity just to volunteer.
Man, I appreciate you, brother, so much, because it's always great to walk on the side of great brothers. Okay. Now, I tell these sisters, on this weekend, the Father's Day weekend that we're celebrating, the Juneteenth, in this month, it's Pride Month, there's still some solid brothers out here that care about the community. There's some brothers out here that loves on the people. I will always walk on the side of brothers who are about the people, because you can't be a man without taking care of your family, your community. And that's the main thing. You got to take care of your family, your community. You can't be a man if you don't take care of your community. However you give back, whatever you feel it is, you have to give back. And I appreciate you being here, Mark. I appreciate your perspective. I appreciate the things that you bring to the table, because again, everybody don't get to hear from the brothers who've been behind the walls. Everybody don't get to hear from the brothers who've been through the obstacles. You always pushing forward. You always making people think. You make the bishop think. So I appreciate to be on the panel with you. I get to be here more with you. We get to learn more. They say iron sharpen iron. We'll just continue to keep sharpening our irons, because one day that iron that we are sharpening, Mark, we're going to have to go to war with this, and we're going to have to take some people out.
Hey, I'll stand by your side on the front line any day, Bishop.
We're going to war, Mark. We got to get our steel ready. The day is coming. They say that the revolution won't be televised, Mark. We're going to have to come together with our sharpened iron. We're going to have to put our armor on. And we're going to have to go out there. We're going to have to protect the very people in our community. We got to protect the Black queens. We have to protect our children, Mark. Get ready, Mark. We're going to war, baby. But with that being said, community, it's been a great show. Just want to tell everybody, let's get ready to have a great Juneteenth weekend. Tomorrow we'll be kicking off Juneteenth at City Hall. I know they got those announcements out, but I want to make sure everybody know tomorrow at City Hall. Okay, don't be worried about these white folks and these other folks about coming to work. Okay, get down to City Hall. Come celebrate with your people. This is our weekend. Let's take over the city. Let's be down at City Hall and uplift our mayor, uplift our folks that are for the people. Okay? Take your 4 hours off of work and leave early. 12 to 4 o'clock, we'll be at City Hall. 3 o'clock, whatever it is. Get there at 12 o'clock, Black people. Since y'all got all the Gucci bags, the Louis bag, y'all don't care about the money, take off the white man's day. Take off the work day and get down there to City Hall and come celebrate with your people. Come be with the bishop, okay? Y'all get out there and let's have a great time. But this weekend is definitely going to be our weekend. We'll be over in the Fillmore on Saturday. We'll be out there all day, blessing the people. Y'all see the bishop out there. Y'all see the drone in the air. You'll see Marco and them around. You'll see the team. We'll be out there, impacting the people, celebrate. We're going to be educating people. We ain't gonna just let them come around and dance. We'll be talking, hey, yeah, come here, tell me how we gonna go down. We're gonna be talking about some planning, okay? Come to our table, because we'll be talking about planning, how we gonna organize, how we gonna take over, okay? We're gonna take over. And then Sunday, we'll be out at Gilman Park for the Juneteenth over there and to celebrate the fathers. And again, we got some things that we're putting together to impact our Black fathers. We're not gonna forget about our Black fathers. On Father's Day is an important day. There's a lot of fathers who are getting involved, trying to be a part of the process. And we want to uplift our fathers and acknowledge them on this Father's Day. This is also Men's Mental Health Month, okay? Throughout this month, continue, brothers, to tap in with mental health. Continue to do the work that you need to do. Tap in with some good brothers. Have some good conversation. Let's start congregating, opening up, and having some conversation because we got a lot of issues. And today, a brother took out a sister today, man. Domestic violence situation. It's unfortunate. And again, Black man, we got to do something. We got to have some conversation about what's going on in our community. We cannot have our brothers killing our queens for domestic issues and insecurities and jealousy, all this craziness that's going on in our community. We got work to do. But on this weekend, we're going to uplift the people. We're going to keep the spirits high. We're going to do our part to make sure that all of the people are doing what they're supposed to do and just uplifting and loving on each other. And then this Tuesday, y'all won't see me here. Mark never be here on Tuesday, as I will be going to my leadership ceremony in San Francisco. So thank you to the Success Center and all of the Leadership Academy folks over there, my guy Terrell and Liz and all of the amazing folk. Yeah, the bishop is educated, y'all. I got some education now. I'm dangerous. Watch out. They taught me something, okay? I don't know. But it was a long year of ups and downs and great information and learning how to be a great leader and how to be impactful and how to just build on what we're doing here at both sides of the conversation. So just want to thank the Dream Keeper Initiative, our mayor and Shaman and all of the amazing folks that continue to make sure that Black folks get an opportunity. And I'm just blessed and honored to be able to be one of those folks who was able to take advantage to learn something and put some education behind all that. We talk about education now. I got a little education now, but I'm not going to walk around with my nose in there and talking about, I'm a leader. I learned something. No, I'm just going to keep doing the work because that's what it's all about. It's not about the titles. It's not about the accolades. It's about uplifting the people. It's about learning something. As we say in the hood, rob from the rich and give to the poor, but in the positive way, okay? That's what the bishop is going to do, all right? So looking forward to that, and then I'll be out for a week. Mark and colleagues then will be handling it. Everything is okay, community. Don't be sending no wellness checks, Okay, the bishop is going away for a minute. Okay, I've been told to sit down. I've been out there doing too much. I got to sit down. So everything will be all right. But I have faith in Mark and Khalid and Ayo and the rest of the team and Angelique. They'll be holding it down and making sure that you all get your Sunday conversations. You all get your educational Thursdays and our hidden gym shows. And we will continue to keep moving as I try to regroup and rethink and replan and tap into nature and talk to my ancestors. Okay?
Coming off the mountaintop, you're going to be glowing when you get back.
I'm coming off the mountaintop, okay? I'm just going to do that and make sure that I come back to impact our community and continue to march with this brother Mark and the rest of our team. So just say thank you. And I want to say thank you to all of our both sides of the conversation team, all the ones who are flying in, who are going to be here this weekend to help celebrate and uplift and liberate the Black folks in San Francisco. So we're excited. Y'all see us in the community. Come check us out. We're going to be doing some things to support our people and uplift our people. And I'm just happy that it's happening this weekend. All right. With that being said, I'm going to give the quick benediction and get out of here because it's late. Okay. I know Mark got to get out of here. Bishop, you've been holding me up, but I'm going to give the benediction. Okay. Tonight, community, you've been blessed. Tonight, we have Brother Young here talking about the development of economics for folks who are coming home, who are leaving the system, the walls, the pits of hell, trying to figure out the solution of how do we bring economics and education and learning to the folks when they're inside so that when they get outside, they can thrive. They can come back and be a part of the community and do something. It's going to take all of us to change the narrative. It's going to take all of us to change the policy. It's going to take all of us to invest in each other. Community. We believe in second chances. You got Mark here who got a second chance. You got me who got a second chance. I work with young people. I believe in miracles. There's some miracles that are going to happen this year because of Brother Young and his foundational book that teaches the basics and teaches the things that we need to develop. We could do this. Community, you have to be open and listen and make sure that you're doing your part when the young people and the people come to you for resources. Have it ready. Make sure that you have your plan intentional so you can bless somebody. Sometimes the difference between a brother going back to jail and being successful might be the program that you provide. Make sure you have a door open when they're walking in. Make sure you have some funding when they come in. Make sure you're able to uplift them and connect them in any way you can so that they can do the things that they need to do. We all know economics is important. We all understand the importance of money. Sometimes we don't know how to use it. We don't know how to invest it, but we know what it's for. It's not to just celebrate and have a good time. It's to utilize it, to leverage the opportunities for your family, for you, for the community, so that you can have sustainability. We have to change some of the laws. We have to understand we can't get caught in what our oppressors are doing, Black people especially. We can't be our own critics. We understand the system has put things in place to purposely connect and take away our fathers and mothers of the community. It is now our time to have a new mindset, to have a new opening, a new welcoming to the folks who are coming home. Let's make sure that they stay home. Let's put them in positions where they don't go back. We could do that if we communicate, if we talk, if we educate, if we uplift. We can do all of that. That's what we're trying to do here at both sides of the conversation. We're trying to be intentional. Make sure you know what's going on. Understand what the disparities are so we can fix them together. Don't just be the lawyer out there with your nose in the air saying, oh, I'm a great lawyer. I do this. Be a dismantler. Figure out the problems that's happening. Why are my people going back? And let's put some things on the table and let's fix it. This is the year of fixing. This is the year of lifting. This is the year of opportunity. We have some things that we could do. This is the weekend of the celebration of our ancestors. This is the weekend of freedom. This is the weekend of love. This is the weekend of joy. This is the weekend. Black folks should walk with their heads high in the air and say, we have accomplished some things, but we got many things to go, many ways to do, things of that nature. This is our weekend. Don't use it for dancing. Don't use it for drinking and having a great time like we're still not dealing. Use it as an opportunity to be happy, but use it for an opportunity to say we got some things that we need to fix. Use this weekend to connect before you correct. Use it this weekend to apologize to somebody you may have hurt. Use this weekend to say, you are my brother. You are my sister. I love you. I want to see you win. Use this weekend to ignite the intersections. Let's start the flame. Let's bring the oxygen. Let's bring the fuel. Let's bring the wind. Let's watch the flames go high. We will thrive. This is the kickoff weekend. This is our Father's Day. Uplift the fathers this weekend. All of the amazing fathers who didn't run, who stayed and took care of their responsibility. Don't look down on them. Uplift them. Say, thank you, Dad, for staying there when you could have left. Thank you, Dad, for being there at my graduation. Thank you, Dad, for getting me here on this planet. Thank you, Dad. Without you, we have nothing. With that being said, happy Father's Day, gentlemen. I love you all. Continue to be great. Happy Juneteenth weekend, Black folks. Let's enjoy each other. Let's learn. Let's educate. Let's motivate. Let's uplift each other this weekend. This is the weekend. We will change the narrative. Lead in peace. Lead in love. Lead in humility. This weekend, I will see you out there. The bishop. I'm going to love on my people. Give me a hug. Tell me you love me because I'm going to love you back. This is the weekend. We engage with each other. With that being said, community, thank you. There will not be a Sunday conversation this Sunday because we'll be out in the community enjoying Juneteenth and our fathers on Sunday. So we'll see you next Sunday. We will be back on Tuesday for another Hidden Gem Show where we will continue to uplift, highlight Black businesses, community leaders, and folks that are doing positive things in our community. And we'll have an educational Thursday. But the bishop, I won't be here. But the amazing Mark, the amazing Khalees and Ayo will be here, and they will keep things running while I'm out, going to discover a new me. Everybody's talking about reimagining. I'm going to reimagine a new bishop. Maybe I'll come back a little bit more calmer. Maybe I'll come back a little bit with my feet. I don't know. I don't know, Mark. When I come back, it might be a new bishop, or I might get worse.
As long as you come back, Bishop. As long as you come back, brother.
Oh man, hey Mark, it's been great, man. Love you, brother. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I know you're not gonna be here this weekend with us, but we're gonna have you out here with us for some of our upcoming events. So we're excited about that, and enjoy your weekend. Celebrate with your people. Get out there and see some of the Black folks. And, happy Father's Day, King.
Happy Father's Day to you as well, brother.
Man, all right, man. With that being said, good night now, good people. We'll see you this weekend. I'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you get to City Hall. Come celebrate with the people. Come holler at the bishop, okay? I'll be out there. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good evening.